Welcome to the Triple Threat. Now, this isn't a show. I just decided to just call it a Triple Threat because I took a look at Rampage, I took a look at MLW 151 Fusion, and I did look at NWA Power and USA. It took a while, but I managed to look at them all. Now, did I have fun? That's probably what the title is. Did I have fun? For Rampage, it was okay. I'll say that the Battle Royal, where they split it up into half, red and blue for each individual ring, made the best sense because what were they going to do with that one ring? It was just like a big eyesore. They had to do something with the secondary ring, so splitting it up, unlike a regular traditional Battle Royal, like the WWE, where they just bring somebody in every, 2 minutes? They did it every minute. And they did it in intervals of one would be doing red, one would be doing blue. That was the best way to make it work. Now, if I remember correctly, Darby Allin was one of the people who started. Let me give it to you like this. Seeing that Brody King won, I was cool with, because it was not Darby Allin. I could not believe Darby Allin as one of the last people in that Battle Royal with Brody King should win. Should not win. A lot of times when they act like this in AEW, letting a much smaller wrestler beat a large one, sometimes it's disbelief, and it doesn't always work. But seeing that they did let Brody King be dominant makes perfect sense, particularly that Moxley is very hard to beat anyway. Now the question is going to be for this Wednesday, is it going to work with him? I kind of wish they had a couple of weeks to build up to this. I'm telling you right now, one of the problems like with Impact Wrestling, AEW did not build this up. I'm telling you, against all odds, got me very upset when it came to Josh Alexander versus Joe Dorling because we had one day of build before Against All Odds. And I didn't agree with that. That was dumb. A little too dark. It was dumb. Instead of a couple of weeks to a month, you do one thing 1 week before, you don't show Dorling being dominant, and the next week you show a vid pack of him being an All Japan Pro Wrestling Triple Crown winner, but it still felt like nothing because the next day he had to go in the ring. No build. So here, Brody King is kind of like in the same category. They're not even waiting. They're not letting it take a couple of weeks to a month to build up into it. They're doing it next week. I don't agree with it. I really want to see Brody King mean something, yes. When it comes to the House of Black, you could see he's dominant, but he's never been by himself. He's been working with Malachi Black, working with the former Buddy Murphy. I can't remember his name. Buddy something. I forget. I usually would remember. I'm blanking. But you get my point. Now, Bucks get a verse. Another one where it's just a match. Now, mind you, I am glad to see New Japan is still working with AEW, but it needs storyline. Guys, you can't tell me in New Japan Pro Wrestling or All Japan Pro Wrestling or Pro Wrestling Noah, they don't have storylines. This is what a lot of American wrestling promotions don't do very well. Impact never did it 100% correctly. AEW is not doing it 100% correctly. They're trying. And then NWA. I haven't seen it yet, but I've only seen it since 2019. So I haven't really seen them do anything with a Japanese wrestler yet. I don't know how Billy is going to book a Japanese wrestler. I'm hoping he'll book it better than Impact or AEW, or even better, WWE, where they barely booked them correctly unless they were on the original NXT. Yoshi and Hashi versus the Bucks. No real story. It would be nice if there was one. Because sometimes having these Japanese wrestlers and you barely know them, it feels empty. They did that with the women. Here it's the same thing with the men. We really, really need them to be given real storylines. Even if they can't speak English, give them something and give them a freaking translator or fucking subtitles like Impact Wrestling did and give it to us. This is what Tony Khan needs to learn. If anybody watches this says, hey, we need to show this to Tony. How you doing, Tony? I'm just an ordinary fan who loves your product. But I do need to say this. If you want to book Japanese wrestlers, let them do promos with subtitles. If you can't get a translator, do a promo with subtitles. They have people that work in the United Nations who types out exactly the words they say on the screen within real time. Hire somebody like that. I don't remember what they're called, a linguist or something. I can't remember what the name of that exact person who understands the language and types it out on screen. You can hire somebody, do it. Make these Japanese male and female wrestlers who can't speak English mean something. The match was fine. It wasn't bad, but I wasn't surprised the Bucks were going to win. Now here, Nia Rose versus Toni Storm. Now let's put this in perspective. Do I hate Toni Storm? Hell no. Do I hate Nia Rose? Hell no. Do I think this match didn't really mean a lot? Yes, it didn't mean that much. I don't know what you gain with Nia Rose in that position. Now, Marina Shafir working with Nia Rose, here's the problem. If you're going to let Nia Rose work on Marina Shafir, unfortunately, it's not about her ring work, even though it shows that she's still more MMA than she is pro wrestler. She just has that feeling that she hasn't fully learned pro wrestling to be a pro wrestler yet. She's still more like a MMA fighter. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. She's more of an MMA fighter that is doing some work like a pro wrestler, but still hasn't learned enough of the fundamentals of pro wrestling to make herself feel proper. I'm sorry. That's just how it feels with her. But when it comes to Nia, I'm not against Nia Rose if she becomes her partner, but you need someone to be the manager. That's the reason why she stuck with Vicky Guerrero for so long. Because I'm not saying Nia couldn't talk. She does talk. I'm not saying Nia Rose didn't have some type of personality. She does have personality. Has she always hit her marks? Not all the time. But she was competent enough to get the work done in the ring, and I've always respected that. I haven't said nothing garbagey about her unless she does something stupid. But when it comes to this, if Marina Shafir is going to be Nia Rose's partner, I truly believe she needs to have Vicky Guerrero by her side or someone else in the back that could be a female legend that could help these two other than Vicky Guerrero. I'm begging they do it. They need somebody there that can be their mentor on screen. That is what's needed. Nia needs a manager. She's always needed one because she's more of a muscle wrestler and that's the way she looks. Not saying she couldn't talk, like I said. But she looks better with a manager. It's the same thing with Marina Shafir. She needs someone to talk for her. She's not the problem. And she's not the solution. In the end, Toni Storm won. I'm not surprised. I'm just not. Now, MLW Fusion 151. I know there's a few of my subscribers that have been hoping that I would do reviews of MLW Fusion. Now, let me give some who've never seen me talk about MLW Fusion the reason why I didn't review it. It was bullshit. And I know those who love it. I'm not talking about the content of how the wrestlers talk or the ring work. It was production like Impact Wrestling that was the issue. The lighting was bad. The lighting was bad. The audio was bad. The camera work was atrociously bad. It was like they didn't know what they were doing after 20 years in the business. MLW has been around almost as long as Impact Wrestling and ROH. And at the very end of their run nearing 20 years, it's like they forgot the fundamentals of production. It was like the people who used to run production, who understood how to make the camera work, how to do the promos in the back with the camera and the lighting and audio, outside with the camera and lighting audio. It was bullshit. They did not understand what they were doing anymore. And especially once the pandemic hit, they were even worse. Worse, guys. They didn't want to do the right things when it came to production. And it can't just be because they didn't have people there. They had people there. And they didn't do it. So how is MLW Fusion 151 compared to how I saw it last time 150, and particularly nearly 8 months ago when I saw the product then, when it was even worse than the last time I saw it, and that was back in 2021. I'll give it to you like this. Was the segments when it came to the Polynesian, what was it called? The Polynesian Chop Shop. In other words, how can I explain this? Jake Fatu. He's with his relatives. I believe one is also a Hawaii. One is an Hawaii. And I believe another one could be, I forgot what his name is. I'm not sure if he's an Hawaii either. But they got two guys who are supposed to be Samoan SWAT team. And one of them could actually be a cousin of Roman Reigns or his brother. I don't think Roman Reigns has a brother. I could be wrong. We never learned about it. Well, I haven't learned about it. But maybe he's his cousin with the same name. But he may not be Roman's brother. He may just be a cousin who has the same last name. That happens. But let me give it to you like this. Was there segments in the very beginning? You can look at MLW Fusion 151. It was there. They were trying to sell some shit. And then the guy who ran Lucha Underground, who was there, I keep forgetting his name. Did he do a good job dealing with them? It wasn't bad. It was not bad. The segment with the Polynesian Chop was funny. It was interesting. Now, they had their match, and I'm not going to talk much about the matches on Fusion, about the content of how well they worked or not, at least in the respect of blow by blow. But I will say this. Did the Strike Force, well, not Strike Force, but the... when it comes to Hawaii, I can't remember his name. He's a much smaller one compared to the other guy. He's got something. He has a good look. He's strong in the ring. The other guy was a bit overweight. A little more, he wasn't even the same shape as Yokozuna. He looked like he might be a bit overweight, more than Yokozuna was, even though Yokozuna was a big guy. This guy looked a little more than Yoka, and he didn't look like he was moving very well in the ring. Doesn't mean that he couldn't do great in the ring. That's due to the fact that's just that initial look. This is my impressions, guys. His look wasn't just because he looked a lot more heavier. He looked like he was struggling a little bit. Now, it could be just because it's the first time I saw him. And the other one. So, I still would have to keep watching Fusion to see if both of them, if they're actually staying in Fusion, if they're really going to do something. So, I would have to keep watching. But one of them from the SWAT team, the Samoan SWAT team, I'm trying to remember, was interesting. They beat the guys from the other guy who did Lucha Underground. I keep forgetting his name. But then we get a little surprise. Now, when I saw in 150, I did see that Killer Cross was there with Scarlett with him. They're doing video package, well, not video package, they were doing vignettes of him. So seeing Killer Cross in MLW was surprising. Especially smoking a cigar. And seeing Scarlett I'm looking forward to seeing Scarlett go by his side. I know I'm botching the words. It's because of the person that I saw that attacked Jake Fatu is on my mind, baby. And that was when it was finished with the match. They basically wiped out the guys there. You see who attacks Jake Fatu. Real one. And that is the former Enzo. It looks like Enzo. That had to be Enzo. If that was not Enzo, he looked freaking close to Enzo. But that looked like fucking Enzo. He had the same mannerisms. He sounded the same way. He looked the same way. That's got to be fucking Enzo. And Real One got my interest up. I'm sorry. If you don't like Enzo Amore, you hate Enzo Amore, that's on you. For me, I always felt Enzo Amore was a very unique individual when he was working in the cruiserweights in WWE. He was different. Now, we got him in MLW. I believe that was him. If it is him, seeing him in MLW, that means he has decided not to just be doing rapping anymore, hip-hop. He has now decided to go back into the ring. That's a good thing. I'm actually very happy to see that he decided, you know what? I still may love hip-hop and rap, but I'm going to go back in the ring. Now, if that is him, I'm glad to see him. It's good to see somebody like that. I'm glad to see it. Now, that last match on 151, I gotta say this. I like midget wrestling whenever I did watch it. It was interesting to see how midget... I want to make sure I don't make you guys think I'm bashing Microman. I am not bashing Microman. I'm not. As a midget wrestler, if he's been working 20 years in the business, he has staying power. People like him and love him. He was being cheered heavily there. And I gotta tell you, for me personally, I wouldn't mind seeing midget wrestling. But when you mix midget wrestling with regular, ordinary wrestlers, and this happened before, I believe when I saw 9 months ago or 8 months ago, I saw him there too. And I was too fun seeing him mixing up with regular wrestlers. Put a midget wrestler with other midget wrestlers. Only when it's special do you put them with regular wrestlers. Now, when 150 rolled around, I believe I saw him there too. He was there. And I'm going like, you cannot make a midget wrestler who's 3 feet tall work with other wrestlers. It doesn't always look correct. It looks like the only thing they're doing is holding him. Now, we all know, come on, let's make this clear. Every wrestling move that is done by full-grown wrestlers, or oversized wrestlers, or super tall wrestlers, the other wrestler who has to take the hit is holding them. There's no problem. But they try to make it look good. They try to make sure that they make it look like they're actually doing the move along with the person that's holding them. But we're talking about a midget wrestler who's 3 feet tall. And when it came to him working with Taya Valkyrie and another guy, I can't remember his name. But honestly, seeing that they had to hug him, throw him around, and it looked so off for me. If it was a regular midget wrestler doing this to another midget wrestler, it'd be fine. It's fine with it. And once in a while seeing this, it's alright. But now I've seen it 3 times. I believe they were doing something in MLW Fusion 50 when it came to Microman. And another episode that was probably months upon months ago when I looked. And I saw Microman there too. I'm sure I did. Why are they putting him with major ordinary wrestlers all the time? Bring in more midget wrestlers. Yes, he's a gimmick wrestler, but still, I don't like seeing that they have to go through so much to make him look good when he looks ridiculously dumb trying to do it with full-grown wrestlers having to compensate heavily for his stature. Not saying that they couldn't make it look great, and that there's certain points when it was fine in the match. It was funny, and I did enjoy it to a certain point when Microman was able to get some moves, and they showed that he did get involved in it, when he was able to grab the other wrestler at certain parts of their body to make it work for him, because his hands are smaller, his arms are smaller, he has to grab him in certain positions to be able to make it look good. But for everything else, if the wrestler is too oversized, it looks like garbage. I'm sorry, nothing against Microman or anyone in that match. It was garbage. It was. Doesn't mean the entire match was garbage. It was just his interaction where they had to do a lot of flips with him, and throwing him around just looked very bad. And I'm wondering, this is for me, you guys tell me below. When Taya Valkyrie won that women's featherweight title, I believe that's what it's called, who is the person she's going to be challenging? I remember the woman that was on the other side who was part of that match was the one she challenged for the actual title. The thing that got me, that I'm actually quite shocked about when it comes to MLW, and I can't believe anyone else has never said this. And the people who like MLW Fusion, tell me if you agree with this or not. You're happy now that women have a title. I believe it's called the women's featherweight title, just like the men, who are very light. No problem. Great. Hasn't MLW been around for fucking 20 years and they've never had a damn title? For women? Let me repeat that again. From what I understand, MLW has been around almost the same amount of time as Impact Wrestling TNA. ROH. And it's been around since, 2004 or 3 or even 2 for that matter. It's a possibility that ROH, who started around 2002 or 3, Impact Wrestling that did start around 2002, and MLW, I believe, started around 2003 or 2004 or 2. I don't know about the times. But all three of these freaking companies started around the early 2000s together, between either 2001 to 2004 maybe. I could be wrong about ROH starting around the same time as Impact Wrestling, but if MLW Fusion's been around almost 20 years or has been, how come they never had a fucking title for the women? What the fuck is that? You probably already had a title for the women in ROH. We know they had a title for the women in TNA, the Knockouts. Are you telling me now in 2022 they finally give women a damn title? Because they've had women in MLW for years. I know they had to have women there, either as managers or just wrestling. And you're telling me they never had a damn title until now? Unless it was a category of title, saying that they had a women's heavyweight title, but then they got rid of it, and now they restarted with a women's featherweight title. If that's how it is, fine, I can understand that. But if there's never been a title for MLW for women, that is so fucking bullshit. I smacked the people in the face who ran the damn thing for almost 20 years not having a title for the women. Please. I'm sure they probably did have one and it was called something else, but they just wanted to restart the women's division again with a new title. That's what I'm hoping for. But if there wasn't one, you guys can tell me below. If there wasn't one, that MLW is a piece of shit. And now that they finally give women an actual title, I am happy. But they're a piece of shit between those years until now. I could be wrong. You guys tell me below. Now, NWA. Now, I saw Power and USA. I'm not going to be heavy into it, but I will say this. Seeing Matt Cardona come back after he had his bicep surgery was fine. He had a promo saying, I'm coming back for my title, and you better keep your word, Billy. You better give me my opportunity. So that's what probably Billy told him. He said, if you give me the title now, you drop it, you relinquish it, I give my word, you will get a rematch. An opportunity at a rematch. That's what I think that he's talking about. Now, let me give it to you like this. Was Power a good episode? It wasn't bad. It wasn't a bad episode. Neither was USA for that matter. But since I've missed several episodes of Power and USA, I can't tell you if overall everything was good. I can't. Now, I did see what happened to Bully Ray and him getting nailed by Mike Knox and dealing with VSK. The question is going to be, will he ever come back again and do something with NWA? Is he going to be a commentator, or will he actually get back in the ring? I don't know. I actually would be very curious to see what would happen if Bully Ray goes back in the ring. I actually would hope that he would go back in there, because if you get Bully Ray in NWA, you actually have something quite interesting that many people may want to watch a lot more than what you think. But this is just me. Now, was this all good? I'll give it to you like this. Was Rampage good? Yeah, it wasn't bad. The Battle Royal wasn't too bad, and the matches there were okay. MLW Fusion. Was the camera work good? It wasn't bad. It was way better than what Impact did for Against All Odds. Way better. Doesn't mean it was perfect, but I'm not asking for perfect. I'm just asking that they show what's going on in the ring and outside. That's all I ask. That's something I want people to understand. Particularly that someone below said, you know, there's a YouTube channel where there are people, well, there's one fan who can't stand that you critique Impact Wrestling, that you're a hater. Well, guess what, bitch? If you see this, I'm not a hater, you are. Because if you can't let anyone know that there's something wrong with something you love, are you really loving it? Or are you denying what's going on? Are you denying that you're looking at a product that needs work? Everything that goes on anywhere has issues. And Impact Wrestling is no different. They have issues. And if you can't accept there are issues there, then you're the one with the problem. You're the hater. You're hating the fact that something you love is not working. You want to defend it so badly, it makes you look bad. For me personally, I felt that Fusion wasn't 100% bad, at least the second time I'm watching the camera work. Lighting was so-so. Audio was an issue. I truly felt like audio was not done correctly. It was not good. But I will say the backstage segments were done pretty well. Seeing that Killer Cross was done. And the setup for Hammerstone dealing with the other guy, I can't remember his name right now, showing that he had blood on his clothes because of the last pay-per-view I believe they had, and he was bleeding because of it. Actually very well done. That was done quite well. And NWA. As I've said, I've missed several episodes of NWA, so I don't know what exactly is going on. Like I said, I've been having a lot of issues that I've been trying to deal with in the background. And on top of that, trying to watch all of the shows that's going on. Trying to watch Impact Wrestling, AEW, then trying to do NWA on the weekend, both Power and USA, and trying to do all of the pay-per-views or Impact Plus shows while trying to do it. It's killer. There's no way I can do them all. So I missed a lot. So for me, seeing what I saw wasn't bad, but I don't know how things have been for the last few weeks easily. But did I like it? All of them were all right. They all had some issues, not all perfect, but it doesn't mean you could not enjoy them. If you haven't seen anything yet, watch them all. They're not all 100% trash. Let me give it to you like this. I know people are going to say, that means you love MLW. You're going to do reviews. No. I'm going to make this clear. I'm not doing MLW Fusion reviews. No. I'm going to watch it for a little while to see if it is exactly what I've been saying. That they need to understand that production value is important for people at home. They may get a good chunk of money when they have the arenas, but they're still getting paid by streaming on Fight TV to us, people who are watching something like us. If they don't understand, they got to make sure the product is viewable, the product is hearable, and the product acts like they care about people at home as much as they care about the people in the arena and the venue. Then I may do reviews of it. Until then, no. And I'm not being disrespectful, sounding condescending. I'm not going to do reviews of it until I can see a consistent basis of production. That's the same that's going on with Impact Wrestling. As I've said before, I'll complain when they mess up, and I will leave it alone when they don't. And Impact Wrestling's production has been foul, garbage right now. Look at NWA. I complained about it for months upon months until they slowly but surely started to correct their problems. I rarely say anything about their production value of their audio, the lighting, or their camera work because they earned it. They worked through their problems and finally got it corrected to the point where it's just regular. It's not perfect. They still mess up once in a while. But if you can see the majority of the work in the ring and outside, that's all you want. Guys, you don't want this or this in your damn face all the time, or an ass shot of a guy. Now, mind you, an ass shot of a woman, I'm sure men and women like to look at. But if it's more men than women, or you just get a zoom in of like this, why would you freaking care if you're streaming it? Learn production. Impact Wrestling, MLW, AEW, NWA, they need to understand they have people that come to the arena, yes, or the venue. But if you're streaming, the people are paying for this shit. Make sure you do it correctly. I'm just saying, I hope you enjoy this triple threat. I don't think I would do it like this again. But I am going to call it triple threat. Unless you guys say, hey, dude, we actually like the name triple threat. Why don't you do something again with like a triple threat or something? Or just keep the name. Leave a comment below. I am sweating like bad. It is warm in my apartment. If I look like I'm streaming sweat. Peace.